Good evening and welcome to Build Your Best Life. We are super excited to have you here with us today. Hi, Jocelyn. How are you?
Good evening, Coach Deborah. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here also. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Anytime, always, it is a joy to have you on here, being a part of Build Your Best Life board of directors. And you're also the host every first Tuesday of the month. So this is your Tuesday to host. So it's always a joy to have you on. So thank you. Thank you for everyone that has tuned in today. We thank you for your comments, your shares, your likes, and for your prayers as well. And please continue to share. And as always, we love to have your comments. I see we have Dan on here. Good evening. And Ashley. Ashley is another new board member. Welcome, Ashley, and thank you for being on today. And we have an exciting topic we want to talk about today. And that is going to be 5 pillars. Like, she comes up with some of the strangest topics. 5 pillars. What are we talking about today? Well, I think you're going to get a lot out of this one. I'm excited about it. But Build Your Best Life is built off of 5 pillars. Of course, we talk about self love. We're not going to touch on that today, but that's first and foremost. You have to love yourself to grow and be the best that you can be. But then we have those 5 pillars that we follow because they will assist our young men and others in building their best lives to get through those distractions, the rough terrain, the detours, and all of those things. These 5 pillars will definitely help them. It will allow them to keep functioning, show them what to do, when to do it, best methods, when to stop, take a breath, all of these type things. So we hope that you will enjoy this topic because we enjoyed putting it together for you. So get your notepads, hit your friends, tell them to get on here because this is, like I say, for young men, mothers with sons, dads, parents, pastors, whatever. What do you think, Jocelyn?
It is for everyone. We saying we are not too old to start learning and growing, and that applies to everyone, all genders, all ages.
Yeah, so we are ready. We hope you are ready for this. So, under those 5 pillars, the first one we're going to talk about today is associations. Associations. And I'm sure you've heard all kinds of things about that. Birds of a feather flock together. You're like the 5 people that you're with most of the times. Well, a lot of young men, they hear it, but they don't hear it. And I went to a school in January and I was talking to these middle schoolers, and I began to talk about associations. And I said, you think they're your friends, but they will try to influence you to do things that you know are not right. But they'll say, hey, let's do this, let's go there. And you follow them. And the teacher interrupted. She said, I just told y'all that. See, it's a thing. And it is so important. You have to have the will in your life. And hopefully you're in a household where you are being raised the right way. So you have goals and purpose in life and things that you want to do, places you want to go, and you've been building on that. But one bad decision from your boy that you've known since he was 3 years old and you were 3 years old, they're here and you're here, and one little, hey man, go with me, can just make all that you have worked for, let's say 18, 19 years, just disappear just like that. So, associations are key. Don't you think, Jocelyn?
I totally agree. Associations are very important in building your best life. We have to teach our young men and be examples as parents as well. It definitely helps if the young man or the young adult has been raised in a positive household. But the association, there are pros and cons to it. And so you just shared on some of the cons. It can potentially lead to life-changing situations for you in a negative way just by associating with the wrong individuals and making bad decisions. Even if they've been your childhood friend for years, you don't owe them anything to go along with their bad decision. You can say no respectfully and move on, or maybe not so respectfully, for they know not to even approach you with that nonsense going forward in the future, right? Let them know that you stand on business, that you got things that you're trying to accomplish. You want to be around those who are like-minded when it comes to things that you are passionate about, things that you have interest in. Some of your neighborhood buddies may not understand. They may find it corny, but you may find enjoyment out of it. You may see a future in it. And so be around those who have those same interests. Associations could some of the pros to associations is just that and we have to make it a habit, and it's almost like a skill set to know who to associate with, because the right associations can get you through important doors, help you with schooling and education. The right associations can get you that job that you're needing for the summer, things of that nature. But certain individuals, if they see that you're associated with the wrong clique or the wrong group of people, or yes, they can see that you're a bright young man, but you keep hanging around these other young men who may not be going anywhere or not showing anything and doing positive things in the community. So you could be overlooked or bypassed when it comes to an opportunity. So associations are vital. They're very important to our growth and our development. And then it becomes a skill set to know who to link up with in the future, or link up with those going in the same direction that we're trying to go in.
Right, that is awesome. And it's amazing. We're talking about God and how He shows up, but we're talking about associations. And I just mentioned the school that I went to in January, and then I look over, and she's always so busy. She very seldom gets on here, but I have Dr. Smith is watching. Welcome, Dr. Cynthia Smith. But that was her school that I was speaking at in January, and she is my middle daughter in love. and you were talking earlier about, we can all learn at different ages. Now, she went to school to be an educator. She taught English. She was an assistant principal, but she decided that she wanted to do more. She wanted to have her own school, and she wanted to help people from the neighborhood that she came from. So she went back to school. She got her doctorate degree, and she started and founded the first private STEM school here in Jacksonville, Florida. It's called Minds of the Future Academy. And she started out with elementary, and now she has a daycare as well as 1st through 12th grade. But there were people, believe it or not, that told her, well, why are you going to do that? You have a job, you have a benefits. Why are you going to go out on your own? So what if she had listened to those associates that she had and not went on and did what God's purpose was for her life? Now she has done a documentary. She speaks all over the United States, and her school is just it's just wonderful. The things that they do, I can't even go into all of it. But associations, regardless of what age you are, is essential. So you have to be careful of those that are around you. And then, as Jocelyn mentioned, there are pros. So you have to be careful, even if you are the right type person, that you're letting that show and shine, because someone is watching you.
That's so true.
Yeah.
There's always someone watching you. Mm-hmm.
Yes, most definitely. All right. And we would like to hear your comments as well out there, but we're going to go ahead and, Jocelyn, why don't you take this one over for us, talking about our second pillar.
Self-discipline. Self-discipline, I know all 5 pillars that we're going to share about tonight is very important, but if you don't have self-discipline, you're not going anywhere. And self-discipline does not come overnight. It's like a muscle you have to build, right? And it doesn't always feel good. And so self-discipline also comes with a certain level of mental toughness. If you don't have it, if you want to practice and execute self-discipline, you will develop it, because it's going to bring forth some challenges. You're going to have to tell some people no, just like in associations, so you can stay on track. You have to, in self-discipline, those practices and applications you have to do again and again and again if you're trying to excel to a new level or to a particular thing. Self-discipline requires focus on who you are and your identity. First and foremost, you have to know who you are and what you're pursuing. That is the will of God for your life. It's a passion for yours, something that you've prayed about, something that you've sacrificed for, so you can't get relaxed. Self-discipline Self-discipline applies to our education, um, our fitness, how we take care of our body. Some teenagers, they start experiencing with alcohol, unfortunately, but it happens. And so you don't want that in your body because you don't want to get conditioned to that. So is that something you want to get conditioned to? So don't participate in those practices. You have to have the self-discipline to say no. I listened to Coach Ricardo. He's been on it lately about fitness and what you've been eating and things of that nature. And so I've been more focused personally. I'm going to switch it over to me, my personal experience of what I'm putting in my mouth and my activity and how I manage myself through the day. Is it always easy? No. Is temptation is going to come to you no matter what area of that self-discipline is, right? Temptation is going to come to you, but it is worth the pain of doing the right things again and again and again, of suffering and dealing with the pain of have not applied that self-discipline previously. So self-discipline is one of those things you can't get around no matter what your goals are in life, the things you're trying to achieve. It's going to take some sacrifice. It's going to take some commitment. It's going to take educating yourself. It's going to take self-improvement all the way around. And it takes a self-disciplined person to make great things happen.
That's right. That's right. It's so important because you want to follow the path that you want to do, and you don't want to be one of those people that when something goes wrong, you're late for something, you forget something important, it's always someone else's fault. Well, that's because you're not self-disciplined. So you've got to, get your stuff together, be organized, and find and put in place something that's going to help you to be self-disciplined. You got to get, form those habits. If you can't, some people can stay up till 12, 1, 2 o'clock and get up at 5. Other people can't. If you know you have to get that 8 hours of sleep, or you can't function, then you can't stay up playing video games and binge watching or doing other things. You have to discipline yourself. You cannot depend on mama. If you're in college, you can't depend on your roommate to say, hey, man, you got to get up. You got to get No, you have to be responsible. So it takes a level of maturity, taking care of yourself, and just, following, hopefully, things that you have learned. That's why, I always say I believe it's better to train early rather than to fix later. So that's why we have to start with our young men early in life. We can't wait till they get to be teenagers or young adults to begin to teach them certain things. We have to start early because the way school is now, they have to be on top of it. I mean, I never seen things like first graders and fourth graders with having projects and reports and all of these things. And you have to be on top of it. So you have to begin early teaching your kids how to take down notes, know when they have assignments. Your parent may not be one of those that's going to get on and go on the websites and say, oh, now you have to do this and this and this. You need to be responsible early on for saying, this is what I need to do. I'm going to be responsible. And that's going to assist and help you when you go away to college, when you get married. Believe it or not, when you have a spouse, they don't want to try to teach you stuff. They're like, what you been doing all this time? I'm not, they be quick to tell you, I'm not your mama.
Quick. It's true. It's true. And it's this and speaking to that alone itself, because it does carry on into over in your adult life. It's very disappointing to connect with someone or try to make a commitment to someone and they see that you don't have any self-discipline. You could be potentially a really great person in many different aspects, but without self-discipline, that person knows that they can't really partner with you in life in that way, or even when it comes to business, or joining together in a leadership position. And so they may be forgiven and give some grace because we all have some growing to do in different areas. But no one wants to carry another person, and although in those important areas in life, you want someone you can partner with and that you can both feed off of each other's strengths and growth. But self-discipline has to be there.
Most definitely. I believe in that 100%. And it takes one time for somebody to tell me something, and it's like, oh, okay, I got it, I got it, I got it. My mom got me good when I had my first job, and I slept late, and I got up and was like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you wake me up? She said, hey, that's your job. Yep. Do you want it? If not, you let somebody have it that wants the job. They'll be there on time. Nobody ever had to wake me up to go to work again. But that's a part of being self-disciplined.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have just joined us, we are talking about 5 pillars of being successful. And it's the 5 pillars that Build Your Best Life is built upon. So we are excited about what we're talking about. And we are on pillar number 3. And we call it Blueprint for Success, but your goals.
Yes. So goals are equally as important as the previous 2 we talked about. Goals, we have to know where we're going. And in order to be clear in knowing where we're going, we have to write our goals down. That's important. I remember I was a young adult, and I've heard about goals. I was still living at home, so I might have been like 20 and 21. And my mom wrote me a note about writing down my goals, and that was the first time that it really stuck to me. And I was 20 years old, but I was enjoying life. I was still living at home with my mom and dad, and I was just woo. And so she was like, cracking the whip, like, okay, young lady, get your head out the clouds, write down your goals, so you know where you're going. What is it that you want in life? And so it's important to write those down. The verse Habakkuk chapter 2 and 3, it tells you to write the vision down and make it plain. And verse 3, I'm paraphrasing, and it says, like, it may be delayed, but it will come to pass. It may not come when you want it to come. And we all know we don't control God's timing. But the point is, if it's something that's in alignment with what you want to achieve in your future, who you visualize yourself to be, there are steps to take. And so we have to write down different goals in order to make that thing come to pass. And not just goals, we have short-term goals and long-term goals. This is short-term goals or anything between 1 and 3 years. And long-term goals is 3 years beyond to 5 years. So it's important to plan the next 5 years of your life. Coach Ricardo teaches that often. Now, and that's how he goes about with his affairs. And it's not just only about the next 6 months. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Even if you're a 15-year-old young man, where do you see yourself when you're 20? Do you see yourself already in college, about to graduate college, or already completed a trade certification and already working in the workforce? Do you see yourself in the military? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Write that down as one of your long-term goals, as well as short-term goals. There's such thing as daily goals, and daily goals, and you may not hear it in that terminology. So that's what we call our to-do list. Our to-do list is helping us work towards those short-term goals, which hopefully feeds into that long-term goal. So write a to-do list each morning when you get up, or as you wind down at night. It doesn't have to be long and elaborate. It doesn't have to be a list of 2 things, but if it's 3 things or 5 things, if you have a sticky note, a pad, write it down. I know our kids now are Everything is about technology. And if you're technical savvy, write it down and make it your screenshot. Write your goals down for the week and make it the screenshot on your phone, and make sure that you check those things off. And so you have a sense of accomplishment. And when you have that sense of accomplishment, your confidence is strengthens, and it grows as you start to achieve some of the things you set forward and laid out for yourself for that day or for that week, working towards that short-term goal, a 6-month goal, a yearly goal, whatever it may be. But goals is like having a map. Writing those goals down is like having a map and mapping out our lives. And so it's very important. And it shows, again, that level of maturity you were talking about, of knowing where we're going. And even though God has a sense of humor and say, if you want to make God laugh telling your plans, but he honors us, he loves us, he wants us to succeed. It may not be the same route that we anticipated, but if you still write down that goal and you reach that goal, the growth was in the journey. And that's the beautiful part about life in itself, is learning to appreciate and find joy in the journey, even the value of the lessons that we learned when we're in the valley, because no goal is like straight uphill. Accomplishing those goals is just not like taking off in a plane and then you reach your destination. You're going to have there's going to be some turbulence. You're going to have some bumps and some ups and some downs. And just when things are about to take off, you may hit one of your tough, challenging seasons, but never give up on your goals. Always write them down. And it's okay if our goals change. I think that's what throw a lot of individuals off. And I could only imagine what it feels like for young men. They said, well, last year I thought I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't know if I want to do that anymore. Okay, that's okay. You know how to pray. Hopefully you go in prayer, you go into meditation, you seek advice from those positive associates, those associations that you have, those who are already where you aspire to be, and the other ideas that are coming to you about your future, and get some advice, and then be confident in making a decision about where you want to go in the end as far as your goals. But writing them down is key, but having them is vital. We're just wandering aimlessly if we don't have any goals.
Right. And you said it best when you quoted that scripture, write it and make it plain. I know a lot of, especially our millennials and Gen X and Y, they don't need to write things down. They can remember things. But believe me, when it comes to your goals, you want to write them down because you want to make sure they're plain, and you don't want to get overwhelmed and going back. You want to have self-discipline. So you don't want it said, well, I didn't get this done because I forgot. It slipped my mind. I was working on something more important. That's why it's important to make that to-do list. So I got it right there.
Okay.
And you're not going to get everything done, but you move it to the next day. And it's all a part of that, those goals and having those steps. And we keep saying things about Coach Ricardo, but he's also taught us, how do you eat an elephant? Elephant is huge, one bite at a time. So that's why you got to break those goals down into little small chunks that you can manage. You want to have something that you can manage. So I can do this week. I can do this month. I can do this in the next couple of months. I can do this in a year. Because if you're going to school, you're not going to get it done just like that. But you're going to have to do other things. You might be someone that has to work and go to school. So those things are going to be key to have them somewhere where they're visible. These are my goals. This is what keeps me going. Because sometimes you even need that. Because I remember when I was working, I had goals of things that I wanted to do. And I kind of got frustrated at work, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to retire. I'm just tired of this. I'm just fed up. And then I looked at my picture of my youngest son. He was in college. It's like, no. I had a goal in mind that he wasn't going to have any college debt when he graduated. So I'm gonna keep my butt on this job. That's my goal, and I'm gonna work. I'm gonna get him through school. you know. So those things, that's why you got to keep it in front of you. Why am I doing this? Why is it important? And like I said, some things are gonna take you a while, but it's gonna be worth it. The journey is part of the journey. And when I started, I was talking about those distractions and those rough terrains. Sometimes you gotta stop, take a breath, and you might have a detour. God may change your mind altogether. It might be something that you didn't take the time to say, hey, God, you might be horrible, horrible, horrible in math. I mean, just horrible, no matter what you've done, what kind of tutors you've gotten, you just bad. But you like, I want to be a physician, a scientist. They got to work with numbers. So even though you might have been trying to work with that, your math may not even be at a point where you have the classes of the types of math that you could even get into college, let alone in medical school and all of these things. But that's something that, you didn't take the time to do the research, because when you have those goals, you got to put some research in there too. Hey, if I can't figure out the difference in 2 centimeters and an inch, and how to, think about changing it right quickly, I can't operate on someone. So you might have to change, but that's okay. That's okay. We can change those things. You can change your goals, but making them plain, writing them down, and working towards them will be beneficial. You will see that.
Yes.
Yes. And see, Nikki has a comment here. See, my son needs to hear his math analogy. Hey, let him listen to the rewind.
Yep.
Yes. And I say you might be horrible, because I think math wasn't my thing either when I was in high school. But I happened to go to a college, and they had tutors, and the professor I got, she was amazing. She made it look like it was just adding 1 and 2 and 3. I made straight A's in it. I never would have thought I could have done it. So it's not that it's not doable, but I'm just giving that as an analogy.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Nikki. All right. We have 2 more pillars that we're going to cover today. And our 4th one is, and I know Jocelyn's waiting for this one, positive mindset.
Oh, yes. The positive mindset can burn the bridges to all the things that you set out to do. None of these pillars can really go anywhere without the other, right? And so positive mindset is included in that. What I was sharing with Coach Deborah as we were preparing to come on, I was annoyed because someone had fronted on me. And when I say fronted, they said something to me in front of a group of people. And so I was annoyed by that. But the things that they were sharing with me was on point. And so, another one of Coach Ricardo saying you have to eat the watermelon, spit out the seeds, right? And so I had a chance to talk to that individual, just address me privately. I like the accountability. If I needed to be called out, call me out, because there's sometimes that creates that growth and development. And sometimes it shortens the delay in taking inventory of self. Being asked tough questions or challenging questions. And, a young man or a mother could be that individual that put things off on the back burner because they don't want to address it. and they don't want to think about it right now. And sometimes having that right person, pull you to the side or give you a call on the phone to, ask you about it and, challenge you in a sense, makes you go ahead and address it. And that's part. And and recognizing that, I said, okay, you have to not get caught up in frustration and be positive about this, because me addressing it at that time was what I needed. I needed to face certain things or whatever that was. But positive mindset is very valuable. It is designed to motivate yourself. Positive thinking, it helps ourselves and those around us. We can be encouraging to others, and the more we encourage others, we encourage ourselves, and vice versa. The more we encourage ourselves, we encourage others. As far as it helps lift our moods and lighten our moods when we are gentle with ourselves and with others. It's easy to beat yourself up, but what happens when we beat ourselves up or think negatively? It's just like a cycle. It just keeps going. It's like a whirlwind. It gets bigger and bigger, or like a tornado. And before you know it, you're just a mess. You're a mess to be around. You're a mess to even have a conversation with, because everything is negative. And so we don't need that for ourselves, first and foremost. Young men don't need that for themselves when they're trying to grow and achieve their goals, when they're trying to execute self-discipline. Negative thinking doesn't help in those areas. And so positive mindset, it is like looking at the glass half full versus half empty. And it helps us even during those challenging times when we're trying to achieve goals. It's we're going to get upset sometimes. We're going to get disappointed sometimes, but it's important not to sit in that, because that could be a slippery slope to a negative mindset. And then we find ourselves staying there. And once you get in that place, you stay stuck. You're not moving. You're not moving as far as moving forward. You're just stuck. And so a positive mindset enriches, that makes people want to be around you. It causes people to maybe delegate things to you, because they know how you uplift others and how you can uplift yourself. Is a reflection of self-love. When we have and practice a positive mindset, we have a choice. And so it is a source of it shows our discipline when we decide to have that positive mindset versus um, of negative mindset. It's almost like it takes more effort to be positive in a sense than negative, because it takes more muscles. We can smile, you know what I'm saying? And so it takes it you got to be intentional about that. It's easy to be relaxed and be like, whatever, and I don't care, and I'm not thinking about that person, and you just shove it off or whatever it is. But I hope you can understand what I'm saying. It can be so easy to slip into that negative space, but it shows more self-discipline when you are intentional about having that positive mindset, because you bring fresh ideas to a situation. You motivate, you encourage, and it first start with how you deal and communicate with yourself, and that transfers onto those around you.
Yes. Thank you for the question, Nikki. Nikki says, what are some words of encouragement that we can tell our sons on a daily basis to help them stay positive? Well, that is so awesome. And, this goes for like everybody. You look at people when you meet them at home, at school, at work, and sometimes they have this look on their face, or they're not smiling or whatever. Give them a smile. Give them a hug. That may be the only smile or hug that they get for the entire week until they can see you again. But I always found that you need to encourage your children to love themselves and to always talk positive to yourself. That's why, Anita Cummins, she always talks about affirmations, but that's why affirmations are so important. Write that affirmation, and that affirmation, you're talking about yourself, but you tell them those things as well, but get them to write down an affirmation when they get up in the morning before they go out and hit this mean old world. Hey, my name, and Nikki, you got to put your son's name up here. Tell me your son's name, but you know her son's name?
She has two sons, so I don't know which one she's referring to. I can't off top of my head.
Okay. Well, we're just gonna say it's John for the sake of not knowing. But my name is John. God made me uniquely. I am important. I love myself. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I may not be like the next person, but I have a lot of positive things going on for me. I know what I want to do in life. Jaquay. Yeah, so my name is Jaquay, and I know what I want to be in life, and I'm going to work towards that. I'm not going to focus on trying to fit in. I'm going to be Jaquay, and I'm going to stand out. So he has to tell himself positive things, but mom, every day you got to encourage him as well. Hey, God made you. You are so handsome. You are so smart. I am so proud to be your mom. Now you go out there and you make it a great day. You make something happen. We always say do good. You tell them make something happen. So they know they got to go out there and give. And I don't say 100%. I always pray for my kids to give 110% in whatever they do. Whatever you do, whether you're going to school, whether you're going to work, God gave you those talents and you're doing it for him, and he gives those talents to you so you can help others. So you go out there and you give 110% and you remember who you're doing it for, and you got this. Say, I can do all things in Christ because he strengthens me. And I know that's right. It's my favorite scripture. But those are some of the things, but we have to, especially our Black males. They get out there, they feel beat down. This person is against me, and some of them come from some households where they're told, you get out of my face, you look like your dad, you remind me of your dad. That's not giving them positive mindset, positive reinforcement. So whatever is taken out of them, we got to try to put it back in them.
That's right.
So I hope that helps, but that's what I'm saying.
And I'm sorry, Nikki, you're right. Look, you're right. Of course, you're right. 3 sons. I erred and said 2 sons. I was thinking about the oldest, the young adults. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I think that was good for the for my part of the positive mindset. So thank you so much for that question. I love it.
Yes.
And so we have one more pillar. And that's our financial literacy. And with that financial literacy, we are not saying, hey, everybody need to go out and see how rich you can get, how much money you can get. That's all about getting houses and no. I don't care if you make $40,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $250,000 a year, $1 million a year. If you don't have financial literacy, you just will not have anything, because you have to be a good steward of what the God gives you. And that's what financial literacy is all about. It's knowing about how to save, how to pay yourself. You got to pay yourself. Yes, you get paid. Let's say you get $100. You're going to give God 10. You're going to keep 10. You're going to pay your bills with the rest of it. And within that, you need to have an emergency fund. And you say, well, I'm just a child. You can have emergencies too.
Right.
But if you don't start early, you got to start early. And when you get older, it's a no-brainer, because I'll be honest, I was in my 30s when I started tithing. I would put money in church and thought, oh, I'm doing something. And I was not a good manager of my job. And I'm going to talk about money Thursday. But, you can get in a bad situation with credit cards that is so bad that that's the only thing you can do is use a credit card, because you don't have any money, because you pay when you could have had some, if you had financial literacy and you had a card, you would have been smart with that card and paid off your balance every month. You would not have really used it if you didn't need to. Just have it like if you need to make a reservation somewhere. But once you get one and you paying it, they'll give you another one. They'll raise your limits. And then if you get to spending and you only making minimum payments, you're going to find yourself in some trouble. Well, I'm not going to get into all that. But you need to learn how to make some wise choices. And like I said, we're going to talk about some of that Thursday. But, do you need to go out and buy Starbucks every morning? And I personally don't like Starbucks, but, I like the Frappuccinos and stuff like that. But even when I was working and I used to stop and get my coffee every morning, and I know how much I was paying for it. I've been retired 10 years. Well, think about if you get your coffee maker, your Keurig machine, whatever, and do it at home, the money that you save, that's money that you can save and invest. It's nothing like having an emergency fund. It's nothing like, people say, well, charge it. If I charge it, it's only because I'm going to get some cash back, but I'm going to pay it off that month. Because you have to get that financial literacy. And I've been complaining ever since I've been on here that, they stopped teaching it in school, and someone was watching one day and they said they're getting it back in Duval County. And I'm so happy for that, because our children need to learn what to do with money, how to invest and save and pay things off, and not just think about how much money can I get and what am I going to spend it on. So those are some of the things that I guess I got passionate with that one, but I know how you can get yourself in a real bad place if you're not smart and a good steward of your money. So I'm not a financial advisor. So, if you get yourself in one of those tight places and you can't dig yourself out, then you need to get you a financial coach, a financial advisor, or someone to assist you and help you. But parents, and you may not know either. So you might have to get a mentor for them, but start your children early.
That's good. You're right to be passionate about it, because as you were stating, you were in your 30s when you started tithing, or starting to focus and paying attention to your finances. And some individuals, we just get in the habit of just trying to survive and not realize it's just a domino effect of not knowing how to manage and budget our money. So financial literacy is key. We should start off with our children, teaching them about budget, that and how to budget. If they are gifted, if they received $100, $200 for their birthdays, teach them what it is to tithe 10% of that. Teach them what that means to save 20% of that. Teach them what that means to take another percent, because children do have a different responsibility. They don't have the same responsibilities as adults. So it's hard to apply the rules, the 7-20-10 rule, or the 6-10-10, these different rules that we have to utilize as adults, trying to teach them when they're 14 to 15 years old and things of that nature. But we should still put something into practice where they put something aside for themselves to work toward, or save something that they want to have or accomplish. That's okay, especially if it's birthday funds and things of that nature. But the importance of setting aside 20% of that for savings, open up a youth account or a minor's account for your children, and they can see that balance grow. And so they can see what that balance looks like, and the frequency that money is going into that account, and what it takes to get that money to grow, that it doesn't happen overnight, right? And teach them what it means to give back. And for those who belong to a faith-based church or go to church regularly, in our world, that means teaching them how to tithe. And some I know some families are not always in church. Well, teach them Ask them what's their favorite nonprofit organization. Show them what that looks like to give back, give donations, things of that nature. That's to an organization that's helping the community. So, and when they're, if you're dealing with young adults, we have to show them what that looks like to take maybe 65% of their income to take care of their living expenses. And maybe another 10% to go towards that savings or that emergency fund, right? But we also need to be teaching them, if they're 21 and older, we need to be teaching them about investing and that it does not take a lot. Someone who is still in their 20s and they start off with $20, $25 a month towards their own IRA account, that can really that can change their life by the time they hit retirement age, and they don't have to change their contributions. They don't have to double up on contributions when they're 40 because they just starting to save at 40.
That's
You
right.
keep it at $25 and you can stay consistent and disciplined with, letting that come out in your account. Even if you changing bank accounts, changing jobs, it doesn't matter. Keep that draft going. Don't let it stop, because it'll make a world of a difference by the time you're 65 years old, and you won't even feel the pinch of that giving once you're making $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, whatever your income or your salary is. And so financial literacy could change the world, but we have to start with ourselves as individuals. We have to start with our households, as far as parents, our children, for the young men who become fathers at a young age. They may be in their early 20s and they may decide to get married, and start a family. It happens, but we have to have that financial literacy and that discipline to make sure that we're able to manage our households. Finances is one of the top reasons for a lot of broken relationships and broken homes, because both individuals weren't on the right track. Or maybe the man of the household, maybe he wanted to go out and buy Jordans, and the mother was like, wait a minute, we got bills to pay, or want to go out. I've seen this, and a grown young man who, I'm saying young man, but 35, 40 years old, and would get paid on Friday and go out with the fellas. And he had a family at home, and blow a big chunk of the money. It's just because financial literacy haven't been taught. And so they don't understand the value of it. They just think living paycheck to paycheck is just how it's going to be.
Right.
A lot of individuals grow up thinking that it takes a lot to be practice and utilize the applications to being financially responsible, but it does not take a lot. It goes back to that self-discipline, and also associations. Associations could have you blowing your money, right? You can't go out with the same people 3-4 times in a month, and brunch here and to the club there, and it takes a lot of money to do all of that when you could be saving, paying off debt, things of that nature. We got plenty of things to do with our money. Let's be responsible about it. So financial literacy is very key into building your best life, and being able to take care of your affairs in today's time, and then to let your money work smart and hard for you in your investments as we grow older.
That's good. And the 5 pillars, they kind of all work together, and it's in this book. But as you were talking, I was thinking about when you just said something about associations. Now, it's also important to be around other people and who you are around, because one of the people in my book is Sean Kahn, who is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he was a poor immigrant. When he came to the United States, his shoes had holes in them, and he came in winter. And so you can imagine how cold he was. He didn't have anywhere to live on the first night because the dorm wasn't open. So he found this cheap room in the Y. But once he did get in school and hanging around the guys in the frat, while they talked, because most of them were rich, but while they talked, he listened. And they were talking about investing and how their parents got money. And so he was really, really smart. And he worked hard. And he went to this one company where they made fenders. And then he looked at the quality of those fenders and the quality of the other cars that didn't have their fender on it. And he ended up owning that company, and he went on from there. But now he knows, of course, he's a billionaire. He owns a football team, what is it, a hockey team, another team in London. So it's those people that you hang around. You don't always have to talk. You don't have to get in a conversation. You can listen. And I'm going to close with this, and I'm going to let Jocelyn close out. But I read this, I know, and I don't remember when, but it was a family, a young couple, and they were starting out. They didn't have much, and they had a baby. And the guy was like, he wanted to make sure his son was going to be able to go to college. So I'm going to say what God put on his mind was to save his change. So from that point on, he never spent change. He would take it out of his pocket every night and put it in something, and every so often he would take it to the bank and deposit it. Doing that, he had enough money to send his son to college.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, I've really enjoyed this topic, discussing the 5 pillars, because they all go hand in hand. They work together, and we're not too old to apply it. So even some, we speak to young men, teenagers, young adults, and even if you are watching this broadcast later on demand and you 30 or 40, and even from mothers who raise sons, it's never too late to apply some of these pillars to our lives so we can become the individuals and the people that we desire and see ourselves as. Because we just ended up talking about financial literacy, it takes self-discipline to manage that, and associations matter when we're trying to be self-disciplined. Association matters when we're dealing with positive mindset. Association matters when we focus on our goals or whatever our goals are. So all these things are tied in together. I really enjoyed the conversation because it made me, even while I feel like I already have things in place and things going, but it made me realize certain areas I may need to fine tune, because we're never through growing. We're never through developing. And there's going to always be a season in life where we may slack in one area while we're trying to just stay so focused in another. But this was very good to me. And so I hope all the young men who are watching, all the mothers of young men and boys who are tuning in are encouraged. We're always growing and developing. So this applies to me as well. Don't beat yourself up. Learn to have that positive mindset and be grateful for the things that you've done well. I give another example. Last week, I worked really hard. I set many, many, many appointments, and they didn't end the way I wanted them to end. But and so I was tired. I was exhausted, and I'm like, God, I'm just so tired. I mean, I was physically drained, and I said, I said, God, thank you for giving me the strength to push through, to stretch myself, to have a week that I've had this week. And I know it's just building layers. I know it's building layers for what's to come. I know in my mind, I know that it's going to, I'm going to reap the harvest, even though I didn't see it right then. But I'm growing, I'm building myself up, I'm strengthening, I'm stretching myself. And I need to do that week after week, the month after month. And so I had to stop and catch myself, because I was about to have a pity party. And I was like, no, you had a really good week. Look what you did. Look what you did. So I was very grateful for that. But you have to be on top of things to be able to catch it and stop that negative thinking and recognize that positive mindset, give thanks, and do it again. Be on repeat.
Awesome. Good. I was gonna say you came back with that positive mindset. Get away.
That's right.
Yes.
It can grab a hold of you and change. It can go from having a bad day or a pity party or angry or whatever it is. It could turn it from one day to 1 week. And if you're dealing with another individual, you're angry at it instead of letting it fall off your shoulders. You're mad at them the next time you see them, so you're acting funny, and it just spirals out of control, right? And so we have to be able to shake it off. I acknowledge sometimes our feelings are valid, but that doesn't mean we have to wear them on our sleeves, and that doesn't mean we have to hold on to them either.
Right.
You can feel what you feel. Ask God to deliver you in your heart of forgiveness or release offense from your spirit, and recite what is good about that person or what's good about that thing that you're going for, and focus on the good and keep it moving. Shake it off and keep it moving.
That's right. Awesome. So thank you so much, Jocelyn. I enjoyed this conversation as well. Thank everyone for tuning in. I hope that you share, because I believe in my heart that this is information that will benefit our young men and our mothers with sons and daughters and everyone, because it was some great information. So please share, and thank you. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Let's Talk About It. My guest is going to be Brittany Clark and our topic is going to be MONEY. And again, we're going to be talking about overspending is what we're going to be talking about. So please join us.
But ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Like I say, we can grow and learn.
That's right.
Yep. So look forward to seeing some of you. And again, thank you so much, Jocelyn.
Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful to be a part of your program tonight.
Thank you. So everybody remember, building your best life is our business. It's not a slogan. It's our commitment. I love you. Be blessed. Stay safe. Hope to see you Thursday. If not, see you soon. Good night.